Hello, everybody. Okay, now this video, I hope it's not like one of those videos where I'm just gonna rant and complain about stuff. But I am gonna talk about a personal thing, kind of work related, that's happening to me towards the end of the video. And well, to start off, I want to talk about lack of initiative. And I've always kind of sensed this that people kind of lack initiative or people don't know what to do in certain unpredictable or new situations, especially when they're in a social context, especially when they're surrounded by other people. So you can say if a person is confronted with a new situation, an unpredictable situation, a crisis, if you will, right? A radical change in the context or the situation or whatever in themselves. Most people, I imagine, do something about it, right? But I think that other people don't. Now, if you're in a group and something unpredictable happens to the group, I think most people don't do anything about it. And that's kind of where you get the notion of leadership, right? Because there will be one person or two that will have that initiative, right? They will be more autonomous, more committed, more responsible. I don't know, they'll have those characteristics, type A personality characteristics, and they'll say we need to do this, right? And since everybody else doesn't do anything, they'll just like, that person will become the de facto leader, right? They'll just follow that person and they'll say, okay, yeah, because I don't have a brain, because I don't think for myself, because I don't have criteria, because I don't have direction, I don't know where we should go, right? So I think this is a real problem nowadays because, I mean, I understand the notion that there must be followers and leaders, but I feel like as we progress through society, especially in this decade, like 2020, especially with like last decade, 2010s, when technology started, really booming, when it was technology's boom, people have kind of taken the backseat in life, right? Like whenever something happens, they just kind of like step back and don't really care, don't really do anything about it, right? Don't take initiative. And I'm not talking about moments where you probably should stay out of the way. I'm talking about moments where the situation requires an answer, right? Now, I could get into like workplace environment situations where, I don't know, something unpredictable happens, and then, this person thinks that that person will do it, and that person thinks that other person will do it, right? So it doesn't get done because there's no initiative. And, everybody kind of has that mindset like, since I'm not being told to do it, I just won't do it, right? Now, you can call that like that's just work laziness, or that's just because you're at work, and I'll say fine. But I feel like it's pretty standard overall in general in society nowadays. Um, Now, they need people, right, to tell them what to do, right? They like these type of people that I'm talking about that don't have initiative, they want and they need other people to instruct them, and not only instruct them, but instruct them in a fun way, right? Now, I say fun way in this type of sense that they want people to uh, kind of be like charismatic. I always say like be a clown, right? Make them laugh. And there are people like that, but a lot of leaders aren't like that. A lot of leaders are very pragmatic, and they'll just directly tell you what you need to do. And most people don't like that. They don't like to be bossed around directly. They'll take it indirectly, right? They'll be like, okay, I'll do what you're telling me to do if you add sprinkles on top of that, right? If you make it fun, if it's enjoyable for me. But if you're just directing me like a commander, I won't do it, right? And they say that's because we, like, humans need to feel like they maintain a level of autonomy. That's why I feel like also like the laws, for example, for any type of modern Western legal system, are kind of subtly, they control you, but they don't really control you, right? Like the United States, for example, that advocates freedom, right? They chant freedom. but there are a lot of regulations and a lot of rules, right? I think it's the country with the most prisoners, with the most like law enforcement, right? The military that they have is like one of the best in the world, right? Yet they're the land of the free, right? So it's kind of like, that's psychological. It will play into people's heads like, yeah, here I'm free, but I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta be in line with the law, right? And then they talk about how, like in other places, like third world countries, people operate outside the law, right? And I guess, you could say, is that what freedom really is, or is this freedom, right? Now we could say, well, we need wise constraints, right? Like that video that I once mentioned, like we need wise constraints, wise, wise constraints that make men free, right? Because you can't just go around doing anything you want, right? So you need constraints, but those constraints will ultimately allow people to be free, right? But anyway, getting back to the lack of initiative, yeah, they want people to tell them what to do in like fun ways, and I'm talking just in general, like anything unpredictable in any area of life, and also how the social factor paralyzes. Like I think the social factor paralyzes because you think that other people are gonna say something or other people are gonna do something, so you don't want to do anything, right? But I think it's very different if you're in a group, something happens, and you think about what you could do, but you don't do it because um, maybe you're not the person for the job, right? Or maybe you don't want that responsibility, right? Which is kind of like the position that I would be in, because I'm not saying that I would go around all types of social circles, telling those people what to do. But there's a difference between those type of people that actually think about something and have something in their mind, and if you ask them, they tell you something, right? Something productive, something innovative, based on their own judgment and opinion, which is formidable. And those type of people that just, if you ask them, they don't know. They don't have anything going on in their head, right? They just say, no, I don't know. This is out of my league, or this is out of my depth, or whatever, right? Okay, so another thing could be that the social factor makes people feel like if they make a mistake, they'll look stupid, right? So it's like losing face, your dignity, being embarrassed, being shamed by people because what you decide to do gets done and then it's a flop, it fails, it's a mistake. Excuse me. So that could also be it, right? It could be because people don't want to make mistakes, but it's like, where's the learning in that then, right? If you're just going to sit there and not do anything, and just become a standbyer, right? Okay, so now I don't know how this may tie in to the other thing that I was going to talk about, which was my personal situation at work right now. I have this boss who just recently asked me for all sorts of like paperwork, right? Like basically my resume again, like my documents. I need to get like a medical checkup, right? Like almost as if I were being hired for the first time, right? So tell me what you think about this, and you can, give me your opinion in the comments section, and I'll tell you what I'm doing about it, and also what could potentially happen, like at the end. So this person is asking me for all this stuff, right? This person sent this through a message, right? And I received it, I read it, and immediately I was pissed off, and I was like, what the hell is this, right? I was angry. My first reaction was to reply like, why? Like, you already have all this stuff, right? And this is not the first time that they've asked me you know, for my paperwork. So it's kind of like, do you just lose it? Do you like what the hell's going on? Like, why do you need me to work extra for you? Like, but then I was like, you know what? I'm a person that is always very uptight about things, right? That's always trying to do the best thing, right? Appear to be doing the best thing, do the best thing, committed, responsible, hardworking, all that stuff. Which that has actually made me like a very anxious person, and I've been working on that anxiety by becoming a little bit more passive, letting go of things, right? And I said, you know what? I'm gonna put that into work right here. I'm just gonna ignore this message, right? I just said straight out, I'm gonna ignore it. It was a long message too, like of all the things I need. At the end, the person said, yeah, by the end of this week, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna ignore this message and see what happens, right? So, what I'm thinking, and this is the question is it better to do what was being asked or to ignore and extend? Now, I'm gonna explain what I mean by ignore and extend. So, I have this idea, and it may work, it may not, that by ignoring, obviously the person's eventually, if it's really important and if it really matters, I mean, let's just say it doesn't matter to the person and it's not, or it wasn't that important, they just won't tell me anything about it and in the end, right? And I just won't do it, and we'll leave it at that, right? And I don't even talk to this person, so like whatever. um, or it's important, it matters, and either the person's gonna find me personally, like, hey, you know, can you do what I ask you to do? Or they're gonna send me a message or a phone call or something asking me like, hey, you know, like what happened, like, you know, because I think I haven't given this person a reason to doubt my work ethic, right? So I don't think they're gonna say, "Oh, he's just being mean and ignoring me," right? Or he doesn't want to do it. I think the first initial response should be, or at least an appearance should be, "Hey, you know, like what's going on? Like, did you not read the message? Did you forget about it? Like, you know." And in that moment is when I'm gonna say, "Oh yes, like I'm sorry." Lie. I'm gonna have to say like I've been busy, or I thought about saying something else like, "Oh yeah, I thought about saying, oh, you know what? Like I opened your message and I was writing down everything I need, and I'll get to that by tomorrow, right? Like I'll get you that stuff by tomorrow." Whenever this person says this, whenever if the person, like I said, if it's important and it matters, and the person contacts me again, makes contact with me again, I'm gonna say, "Oh yeah, like sorry," right? Like act stupid and say sorry. I'll get I'll get that to you by tomorrow, right? Like, you know, and that's kind of like, and you know, I'm sorry, and to compensate that, I'll do it by tomorrow, right? I'll get that by tomorrow. So then what I plan to do is like, out of all the 20,000 things that they asked me to get to them, I'm going to get a couple of those things, right? The things that, you know, I'm not going to get like a medical checkup, like that costs money and that takes time, and you know, like what, that's just stupid. I'm not going to do that, but I am going to be able to like get them a couple of paperwork or documents that they need. So I'll get a couple of documents in to them, print those out, whatever, you know, do it half-assed, right? Like halfway, but on purpose. Mm, but even then, I feel like if I were to do my best and actually try to get everything and get everything, I feel like there would still be things that they would tell me, and this is because of something, you know, I'm not gonna get into it, but the assistant is, you know, we've gotten into it before, so I feel like they would still tell me like there's things missing, or this is not exactly in the type of paper or in the type of lettering or font we needed, or it's not with black ink, it's with blue ink, or you know, just like stupid ass things like that. So I'm expecting that. I'm expecting blowback, or I'm expecting, you know, a rejection in some part. So what I'm gonna do when I bring in like just a couple of documents, obviously they're gonna say there's a lot missing, you know, all this other stuff, and you know, I'm gonna say, oh yeah, like sorry, you know, like you know, like apologize again, act stupid, like, oh yeah, I thought it was this, or you know, I didn't take that into consideration. So let me get back on that, and I'll get to you. I'll get that paperwork into you by the end of the week, right? Or something like that. If it happens this week or next week or soon, like tell them that. Like I'll get it to you in the next couple of days. and then just don't, right? That's the plan. So let me know what you think about that. I think it should work. I think, and the way, and the theory that I have is because people will, you know, uh, they'll only push you so far. They'll only keep on insisting so much, right? After a while, it just gets tiring, and they may just say like "fuck it" or forget about it, right? Which is what I'm hoping. Um, so yeah, if the person ends up saying "fuck it" or forgetting about it, whatever, that's cool. That or the person could, as soon as I ignore the message, could have already forgotten it or whatever, which would also be good because I would have to avoid doing all that other theater acting, right? So yeah, I'm gonna test it out. One other thing I wanted to mention was that in the video, when giving a reason can backfire, it didn't work. So in that video, I talked about how I was doing another thing with another person as an experiment, and how I avoided giving a reason why I was doing things the way I thought they should be done. And I thought that if I omitted the reason, right, and I just explained what I was doing, but I didn't tell them why, then that would make it so I could keep doing it that way, right? Um, and I think on the day, it was just recently, on the day that I said, um, I think I said, "Oh, that actually worked," because the person didn't say anything afterwards. Was the day that that person was like, "No, you need to change it and you need to do it like this." And I was like, "Crap!" So that didn't work. So that theory was proven false on that occasion or on that situation. Just wanted to mention that. So yeah, let me know what you think. I can let you know what happens after this. It's kind of a risky situation, but I'm doing it because I don't want to do all that stuff, you know. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, peace.